Hey everyone, and welcome back to AI Podcast. Applying for jobs these days, I don't know about you, but it can feel like you're just playing a game where you don't even know the rules.
Yeah, it's true. And a lot of those kind of hidden rules are actually driven by artificial intelligence, AI. It's totally changing the way that companies handle recruitment, especially the initial screening of candidates.
We've all heard those buzzwords, but it can be really intimidating, especially when you're the one on the job hunt. So today we're going to do a deep dive into how AI is being used by HR departments to sort through mountains of applications. So what tools are they using? How effective are these tools? And most importantly, what can we do to improve our chances of getting noticed?
Yeah, that's the big question, right? So let's start with why companies are doing this. So companies, especially the big ones, they get a huge volume of applications, like way more than anyone can handle. It's not really possible for humans to manually review every single resume in detail.
So it's like instead of throwing resumes in the trash randomly, they're relying on AI to do the initial filtering.
Exactly. AI helps them manage that influx by automating the initial screening process. It looks for specific criteria and flags potential matches. It's just a lot more efficient and faster.
But I mean, faster isn't always better, is it? I can definitely imagine a scenario where a brilliant candidate gets overlooked because their resume doesn't have the magic words.
Oh yeah, that's definitely a real concern. We'll for sure dig into that more. But first, let's get familiar with the major players in this AI-powered recruitment game. One of the most common is the applicant tracking system, ATS for short.
Okay, I've heard of ATS, but I have to admit I'm a little fuzzy on the details.
Yeah.
Is this the thing, like the system that scans your resume for those magic keywords?
That's exactly it. It's a software application that helps companies manage that whole recruitment process, like posting job openings, collecting applications, screening those resumes, and even ranking candidates based on, how well they match what the job requires.
So if your resume doesn't make it past the ATS, you basically don't even get a chance to impress a human recruiter, right?
Pretty much, yeah. A lot of companies, they rely heavily on ATS to narrow down the pool of applicants before they even think about passing them on to a human for review. That's why it's so important to understand how these systems work and how to, optimize your resume to get past them.
Okay, let's break that down a bit. What are some examples of those popular ATS systems that are out there? Just in case any of our listeners want to do some, recon on their potential employers.
Some of the big names you'll come across are Workday, Greenhouse, Taleo, and Zoho Recruit, for example.
And are these systems all looking for the same criteria to screen resumes? Or does it vary from company to company?
It definitely varies. It depends on the company, the specific role, and how they've configured their ATS. But generally speaking, they're all looking for specific keywords, skills, and experience that match up with that job description.
So if you're applying for a software development role, the ATS might be looking for keywords related to specific programming languages or software frameworks.
Right, exactly. And if your resume doesn't include those keywords, even if you have the experience, the ATS might just not flag you as a potential match.
Okay, now I'm really starting to see how a good candidate could slip through the cracks. It's like you're speaking a different language almost.
Yeah, you could say it's like learning a new code. But don't worry, we'll get into some tips and strategies to help you crack that code in a little bit.
Okay, good, because now I'm a little nervous. So we've talked about ATS. What other AI tools are they using in recruitment these days?
Well, another one that's getting really popular is those AI-powered video interviews.
Yep.
Platforms like HireVue, Pymetrics, and Modern Hire are the ones who are kind of leading the way in this.
Oh, those are ones where you're basically talking to a computer screen, right?
Yeah.
No human interaction at all.
Yep, that's the one. These platforms use AI to analyze your responses, facial expressions, tone of voice, and even body language to try and assess how well you fit the role.
Okay, wow. That sounds pretty intense. It's like having some invisible judge watching your every move. So many questions. Where do we even begin?
Well, let's start with just how these AI-powered interviews even work. They use a combination of things like facial recognition software and algorithms that analyze how you talk, your speech patterns. The AI then tries to figure out your emotional state, how engaged you are, and even your personality based on your answers and your nonverbal cues.
So it's not just about what you say, but how you say it, and even how you look when you're saying it.
Yeah.
I think maybe a poker face is going to be a really valuable skill in this job market.
Yeah, maybe. It's a lot to think about. Like, the AI might even be looking at micro expressions, those like little fleeting facial movements that can kind of give away your emotions even if you're trying to like keep a straight face.
Yeah.
And it could be looking at your eye contact, your posture, even like how much you fidget.
So if you're someone who's like naturally expressive or just gets nervous in interviews, they could be unfairly penalized by this.
Yeah, I mean, that's the potential downside. It's something to be aware of. It's not about trying to, like, I don't know, suppress your personality, but just being mindful of how those nonverbal cues might be interpreted by this AI.
Okay, so awareness is key, I'm hearing.
Yeah.
But what can people do to prepare for these AI-powered interviews?
hmm
How do they put their best virtual foot forward?
Practice is huge. Record yourself answering some common interview questions and then, like, watch it back. Pay attention to your facial expressions, your tone, your body language. Are you making eye contact? Are you smiling? Do you sound, confident and excited?
Like a dress rehearsal for the big show.
Exactly. The more you practice, the more comfortable you're going to be with the format and less likely to get thrown off by the AI watching you.
Practice makes perfect.
Got it.
Any other tips for like surviving these virtual interview gauntlets?
Oh, for sure. Think about the environment that you're recording in. Like, choose a quiet spot, good lighting, neutral background, minimize distractions, make sure your internet is stable, no interruptions.
So it's like you're basically setting up a mini studio in your house.
Yeah, basically. And don't forget about the technical stuff. Test your webcam and microphone to make sure they're working before you start.
Good advice. Good
Yeah.
advice. Okay, so we talked about ATS and those AI-powered interviews. What other AI tools should job seekers be aware of?
Well, a lot of companies are also using AI for skill assessments. These are online tests to evaluate those skills and abilities that are relevant to the job.
Oh, like those coding challenges that software engineers have to do? I've heard those can be brutal.
Yeah, that's a perfect example. Platforms like HackerRank, Codility, and SHL, they're used to assess technical skills, but they can be used for other types of assessments too. Problem solving, critical thinking, or even personality tests.
So it's not just about knowing the right answers, but like how you think, how you solve problems, and how you handle that pressure, right?
Exactly. And that can be tough, especially, when you have a time limit. But the thing to remember is that these assessments are designed to give employers a more objective view of what you can do.
Objective, but maybe not always accurate? Like, I'm picturing someone who's amazing on the job, but then they totally freeze up when they have to do a time test.
Yeah, that's true. They're not perfect. And they don't always capture like everything a candidate can do, but they are getting more common, so it's important to like understand them and prepare for them.
So practice is key here, too.
Absolutely. Get familiar with the platform, take some practice tests and, brush up on those skills and don't be afraid to ask the recruiter or hiring manager what types of assessments you might have to do.
Great advice. Now, we can't forget about those AI-powered chatbots. Seems like they're everywhere these days. Are they also playing a role in recruitment?
Oh yeah, definitely. Chatbots are used for a ton of tasks, answering questions, scheduling interviews, even giving you feedback on your application.
So it's like a 247 virtual assistant for both candidates and the recruiters.
Right, and they're getting smarter all the time. Some chatbots can even like have a conversation, answer more complicated questions.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. I have to admit, though, I always feel a little weird talking to a chatbot. Like, you never know if it's a real person or a machine.
I get it. It can feel strange. But just remember, even if you're talking to a chatbot, you're still making an impression.
So being polite and professional still matters, even in the digital world.
Oh, absolutely. Be clear, concise, and respectful. No slang, no emojis, and watch out for typos. Remember that chatbot might be collecting data that a human recruiter will look at later.
Okay, good to know. So, wow, we've covered a lot of ground. ATS, AI-powered interviews, skill assessments, chatbots. It's like we're living in a sci-fi movie.
It is a pretty crazy new world of recruitment. But don't worry, we're going to give you some practical tips and strategies to navigate this AI-powered landscape.
Okay, I'm ready for my crash course in AI survival. What can our listeners do to, like, stand out and succeed in this automated world?
Well, first of all, remember that AI is just a tool. It's not supposed to replace human judgment. It's just there to help. So don't try to like game the system or be someone you're not. Authenticity is still important.
Right, so it's like finding that balance between showing off your skills in a way that AI can pick up on, but still being yourself and letting your personality,
Oh,
come through.
exactly. Okay, let's get into some specifics. So, for optimizing your resume for ATS, focus on using keywords that actually match that job description. But I mean, don't just like cram them in there. You have to use them naturally.
Yeah. Find that sweet spot between being keyword savvy and still sounding like, a human being.
Yeah. And make sure your resume is like clean, simple, easy for the ATS to read.
Mhm.
Stick to standard fonts and headings. Don't use graphics or tables or like anything fancy that could confuse the system.
Okay, so keep it simple, keep it relevant, keep it keyword rich, but not in a spammy way. Got it. What about those AI-powered video interviews? Any tips for like making a good impression on those virtual interviewers?
Practice. I mean, the more you get familiar with how it works, the more comfortable you'll be. Record yourself answering some common questions and really pay attention to those nonverbal cues. Are you making eye contact, smiling? Are you speaking clearly and confidently?
And remember what we said before, quiet space, good lighting, minimize distractions. You don't want the AI focusing on like your messy room or your dog barking in the background.
Exactly. Okay, now for those skill assessments, preparation is like everything. Figure out what platform they're using and take some practice tests, brush up on your skills, and, get familiar with the types of questions they might ask.
And try to relax. I know it's hard, but I mean, those assessments are just one part of the whole thing. They don't like define you as a candidate.
That's so true. Now let's talk about chatbots. They're getting so common in recruitment, so it's really good to know how to interact with them.
Yeah, I have to say, I always feel a little awkward talking to a chatbot. Like, should I be super formal or can I just be myself?
Good question. I think the key is to be professional, but also friendly and engaging. Remember, even if it's a machine, you're still making an impression.
So no slang, no emojis, but also no need to sound like a robot.
Right. Be clear, concise, and polite. And, don't be afraid to ask questions. Most chatbots are there to be helpful.
Okay, this is all great advice, but it makes me wonder, with AI evolving so fast, what does the future hold for job seekers? Are we all just going to be replaced by robots?
It's a question on everyone's mind, I think.
Sure.
Remember, AI is a tool. And like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad.
So it's not about AI versus humans, but more like humans and AI working together.
Exactly. I think the most successful people in the future will be the ones who are adaptable, lifelong learners, and comfortable working with AI.
So it's about embracing the technology, understanding its limits, and using it to your advantage.
Absolutely. The future of work is exciting. I
Yeah.
really believe AI can create new opportunities and make the job search more efficient and fair for everyone.
I love that. It's not about being afraid of the robots. It's about, learning how to dance with them.
Yeah, I like that.
Well, that wraps up our deep dive into AI and recruitment. We talked about the tech side of things and what it all means for the future of work. I hope everyone listening feels a little more empowered to navigate this whole AI-driven landscape, with confidence and optimism.
Me too. Remember, AI is here to stay. Let's embrace the challenge and make it work for us.
Great advice. And remember, listeners, we'll be back tomorrow with a brand new episode of AI Podcast, so stay tuned.